Welcome to What's Neat and New in N-Scale, podcast number 7, which is being published at close of business on Friday 29th of June 2018. My name is Dennis Turner and I am your host. It's been a busy month for N-Scale, so let's get right to it. Right, hot off the press this morning, Microtrains new releases. Two new passenger cars in Union Pacific two-tone grey. Given that they've done the observation and a sleeper, I'm guessing that this may be the last of this run, and they may start a new passenger run from next month, but we'll see. There might be another sleeper coming. Okay, so there's the sleeper, and there's the observation car. Okay, you can find all this information by going to the Microtrains website and clicking on N-Scale New Releases. They've also released a Southern Pacific caboose. A quick look at that. Yep, it's unusual. It's in white, okay, and blue. Oh, it's for the 1976 bicentennial scheme. So that's what's special about that one. That's why it's got unusual colours. Okay, so we've also got a B&O boxcar, a couple of Burlington Northern covered hoppers, more in the UP World War II poster series, more in the Heinz series, an Army tank car, the Union Pacific sort of two-tone grey express boxcar. There must be a rerun because I've got a couple of those models already. What else we got? Some containers, a couple of containers, a 4 runner pack of Missouri Pacific stock cars. Microtrains make a very nice stock car. Then we've got a runner pack of 5 Rio Grande heavyweight cars. So that makes quite a big Rio Grande collection because Microtrains had already done the singles. There's a undecorated but painted observation car, 2 Cotton Belt SW1500s and 2 Southern 1500s. So that's all of the new releases for Microtrains for June. On to Atlas. Atlas have announced 3 locomotives, a gondola, a hopper, a tank car, some stock cars. It's been a big month for stock cars. Everybody's suddenly producing stock cars, the Thurn, others. A 50-foot 6-inch boxcar, an ALP 45 DP locomotive, and some multi-level passenger trains. So that's Atlas's announcements for June. If you're interested in their 60-foot passenger cars, which are relatively unique, only Wheels of Time, I think, have produced a 60-foot passenger car. That was a year or so ago. Anyway, the in-stock items, New Haven, Santa Fe, etc., are sold out at most model shops, I think, now. And the others, Rio Grande, Central, Milwaukee Road, Boston and Maine, New York Central, etc., they're still pre-ordered. So that means they haven't shipped from China yet. Atlas's delivery schedule doesn't normally give you any information if they split a shipment. So we have to keep an eye on this particular page if we're interested in those cars. Okay, moving on to if we go to their what's new announcements, we see their announcements were made on the 22nd of June, so that's their June announcements, and I think there's a whole one N-scale announcement. There it is. Okay, they've announced a single door boxcar, 50-footer. You want to know the road names? Right, an unusual looking UP one there. SNC, CSX, and a GMRC. So a mixture. So that's what's new from Athearn for the month of June. Intermountain, I'm not going to show you the schedule, I'm just going to remind you about this. Queued for production, and and you've got confirmed for production and you've got queued for production. So some of the F3s, F7s are queued for production, which means orders have been placed. Still a lot of stuff is confirmed for production, but they haven't actually queued it yet. Not anything is in production. Okay, and until it's in production, it's still sometime never. The F3s and F7s, and I think there's FTs as well, were all originally due in February, March, April, May, June, and now of course it's July, August, September, October, November. They will arrive eventually. They were held up originally waiting for sound decoders to be made small enough to fit into their locos. That was achieved some time ago. So I'm not really quite sure what the hold up this time is. These locos were originally announced 4 years, maybe even 5 years ago now, but certainly 4. But anyway, that's the June there's been a June update of Intermountain, but nothing worth reporting on, just much the same as last month. So let's hope in another month something might happen. Kato. So Kato, we have coming soon. SD70, E9UP, the City of Los Angeles, okay, and some bi-levels. So that's what's coming soon from Kato. Nothing terribly exciting there. So moving on, this just happens to be next on my list. This is Fox Valley's own website, and it tells you what the status is of their metal wheels. I know a lot of people are interested in the 3301 metal wheels, and they're on back order, and they've been on back order for months, and I guess they're going to stay on back order for months. So no change there. Trainworks have been busy. What have they announced? Oops, go up to the top. Okay, at the N-Scale convention in Salt Lake City, they announced a Rio Grande switch caboose. It's an unusual product. If you like Rio Grande, it's great, but that's all it is. Only Rio Grande. There she is. What's really special about this, apart from the $60 price tag, is that it's got metal wheels and electrical pickup. So in other words, if you've got train detection over the rails using NCE's device and some others, then the caboose will trigger that. So it saves you replacing the wheels with Special Fox Valley wheels with I think they've got resistors on them or whatever to make them electrical. So that's what's special there. So that's that was a Rio Grande caboose, and this one is also a Rio Grande caboose, I think. Yes, and this is the all orange version. Now, what was special about this $104 one? Oh, I see. The $104 one is DCC, which has a decoder. It has a decoder actually inside it, equipped with marker and spotlights. So that makes that pretty special. So is the price, and the lower price vanilla version of the caboose. Back in May, they announced hoppers, in April dump trucks, etc. So that's Trainworks. Nice products. Nice price too. Scale Trains made a big announcement at N-Scale Convention in Salt Lake City of these GE C39-8s, and they're now down to the last half a dozen of their GEVOs in N-Scale. So if we just have a look at their production schedule for N-Scale, not a lot has changed from last month. They've added the C39-8 at the bottom there. It's due in fall 2018. The rerun of the Big Blow turbine is still scheduled for whatever is called summer, which is right now in the Northern Hemisphere, so it could arrive at any day. So that's what Scale Trains are up to. Broadway delivered, and they delivered when they said they would deliver, which is a first for Broadway, except that I think these products were scheduled to be delivered a year ago. But anyway, their current delivery date for the F3s and the F7s was June 2018, and sure enough, at the beginning of June they shipped. Model Train stuff still have some in stock. I don't think they've got a lot, but they still have some. It's a fairly nice unit, and it's reasonably well priced considering it's got sound and DCC in it. You know, I actually bought 10 of them in different road names. So yeah, so Broadway are doing well. Okay, so what we got here? Rapido. Okay, this is the production schedule for Rapido for N-Scale. They've if you're interested in British prototype, there's this Virgin Trains, how do you pronounce it? Pendolino, which is the Italian guy who designed it. It's a high-speed train, and that's been delivered to Virgin in the UK, and it's run into Blackpool, I believe, and it's an extremely fast train. So they've shipped a model. I'm not sure how easy it is to buy that in the US. So that's their May announcement, or no, May delivery. Sorry, not announcement, May delivery. And we're waiting for New Haven coaches, the Turbo Train. It's due in the fall of 2018, as is the GMD1 relaunch and the GE-8. Okay, so that's Rapido Trains. Woodland Scenics, I decided, should be added to the list, and this is their new products, which starts with Letters, Parcels and Post, which was announced at least two to 3 months ago. So so there's not a lot of new stuff coming out of Woodland Scenics in a hurry, but when they produce something, it's nice. Okay, so we've then got our friends N-Scale Supply. This is their newsletter as of this morning. They haven't included Microtrain, so I guess that they'll announce that in tomorrow's newsletter. They've done a restock of the short line cutter. They've got some more of these British made trailers. Okay, we have Bachmann. Bachmann have shipped, and they're in stock everywhere. They're 280. It's got sound and DCC, obviously, and we'll go and have a look at it. It's relatively unusual. I don't think there's too many 280s being produced in N-Scale. A few 260s, but not 280s. Comes in Western Pacific, Union Pacific, Norfolk Western, New York Central and Western Maryland. It's priced at $400 retail. It's $259 on N-Scale Supply's website. I think it's about $234 on Model Train stuff. Model Train stuff have approximately 25 units of each of these still left in stock, and they started at 30. So that means they've sold probably 3 or 4, maybe 5 of each one in about the last 2 to 3 weeks. So they're moving slowly. I want to get probably the Union Pacific one, but my funds are not too flush at the moment after buying 10 Broadway locos, so I'm sort of holding off and hoping that the stock will hold out for 2 or 3 months, so I can save up to buy it. But it's a bit more expensive than I was expecting at $234. Anyway, product arrivals. There's some Mathern boxcars. There's those old time reefers that we talked about, and there's some trailers come in from Mathern. Broadway, in addition to the F units, and have announced an SD40-2. Trainworks, there's their Rio Grande cabooses that we talked about when we looked at their site. a couple of Land Rovers. It's interesting, all these British cars coming out. It'd be nice to see a similar collection of American prototype vehicles. We're in quite short supply of them in N-Scale. Right, restock of the Masuda Cement Works, some detailed parts. Atlas hoppers have arrived. Intermountain announcements, well, you know, dream on. So a whole range of Santa Fe stock cars. If you're into Santa Fe and you need their stock cars, then you know Intermountain have got the range. But it's vaporware at the moment because it's only an announcement. So maybe in 2 or 3 years you might see it. Sleepers, gondolas. These nice looking downtown deco models, I had a look at all of them when I saw this announcement, and they've got quite a large selection and they look really interesting. They're resin kits. The only thing is that the implication is that there's no that they're for background. In other words, they go against your back, and there is no wall at the back. So I'm a bit sort of confused about that at the moment personally, but maybe somebody can enlighten me as to what they do about the back, whether it's a gaping hole or just a blank piece of resin or whatever. Then we have some weathered cars from Microtrains. By the way, the Microtrains May new releases were shipped on the 14th of June as usual, but the log cars, the Waihuza log cars, which have been announced by Microtrains in their new products last month, they have not shipped yet. Okay, there's N-Scale Railroading. Their July-August magazine is out. So is the N-Scale magazine as well. Looks like N-Scale Supply only stock the N-Scale Railroading, but if you want the N-Scale magazine, you can get it from Model Train Stuff. Okay, still in June, 12th of June, we have the Atlas announcements of the 840 CW, 840C, and the commuter trains. We were looking at them on the Atlas site. We have their box cars and a range of stock cars. As I said, everybody seems to be coming out with a stock car this month, but it's an announcement, so they're not shipping yet. Some hoppers, some tank cars, some gondolas. This is actually much more useful than the Atlas site itself. You can see better as to what's been announced, and Atlas generally ship within about a year, sometimes much sooner after an announcement, so they're more reliable than some others. Okay, that's an arrival. So it's an arrival of part of the lighting system for Woodland Scenics, their Just Plug system, which is very popular. It's a bit expensive, but if you're not into soldering, and then it's definitely the way to go for lighting. We have a product arrival from Wheels of Time. There haven't been any of them for a while, so good. Trees, JTT trees are. Hold that thought. I'll come back to that one. I've found a new supplier of JTT trees, which is much better than the ordinary model shops that we showcase each month. Okay, there Broadway. There's the F7 and the F3, which have shipped. So that was announced on the 6th of June. So as I say, it's been a busy month, and it really started with that announcement. A Thurn announced some hoppers. Right, as I mentioned in the last segment, I found a new source for JTT trees. Now, those of you who are not familiar with JTT trees, they're an American supplied tree, which is, I think, actually made in Vietnam, and they have a very big range, bigger range than anybody else. In particular, one of the things I like is that they sell these packs of up to 55 trees, and they sell them as small as 1 inch. So they're actually called Z-scale trees, although 1 inch is fine for N-scale trees that are some distance away. And I used a whole pack of 55 the other day in one hit. So I needed some replacements, and the only place I could find them of my regular suppliers was N-scale Supply, and these things are pretty light, and I object to N-scale Supply charging me $50 to ship their trees by priority mail when they can be shipped for $20 odd by first class. So I looked for an alternative source, and I'm just showing you N-scale Supply's listing for these trees. As you can see, you've got 1 inch to 2 inch a 56 pack, and 2 inch to 4 inch a 36 pack, and the retail price is $31, and they sell them for $24.76. So anyway, by complete accident, or thanks to Auntie Google, I'm not sure which, I came across this site called LEB Hobbies, and these guys are into racing cars. How trees fit into racing cars is beyond me. If you look at their range of products, it's all slot cars and what have you, but they have scenery stuff, buildings and figures. I haven't looked at that. But anyway, somewhere along here are trees. Here we go, trees and landscaping. So if we hit the plus button on trees and land, gone and lost it after all that. There we go. Plus, oh come on. Things never work when you're demonstrating them. Here we go. Flowering plants, trees, landscaping, grass mats. So we then click on the plus for trees, and we get a whole range of trees. Anyway, there's the range of trees, and believe it or not, those 56 packs, tree packs, are under the Super Scenic listing, and there they are, 92001, 1 inch to 2 inch, and they're $21.99. So they're a couple of dollars cheaper than N-scale Supply, and these guys will ship by first class mail to Australia or Europe, which makes the whole thing very economical. But they also have the entire range, and they have masses of trees, masses of them, and that's just one of their pages. There's 4 pages worth of trees, or 5. So LEB Hobbies, I've not bought from them, so they may be rascals and give us bad service. But I have quite a few trees to buy, and I will be buying $100 worth of trees from them in the very near future. So I'll let you know how I get on. Last but by no means least, we have model train stuff. Okay, now this is hot off the press. Newest items. The Waihusa log cars have finally arrived, which Microtrains announced in May, but they've finally shipped and arrived at Model Train Stuff, along with the Cotton Belt daylight set and Burlington Northern bulkhead set. Canadian Pacific SW1500, the Ringling Brothers Circus, baggage car, and some weathered stuff. Okay, so that's a Microtrain shipment arrived. Then we've got some Athearn boxcars that have arrived. There's lots of them, so I'll go through them relatively quickly. You can look at the site yourself if you want to look at the detail. Then we have the Athearn old-time refrigerator cars. They're 36 6-foot cars. Then we've got some trailers, and then we're back to the reefers. There's Pacific Fruit Express, Santa Fe, etc. Okay. Then TCS have announced some new N-scale decoders. There's those downtown deco units that we saw on N-scale Supplies website. Here's your Bachmann 280s, which, as I say, has 24 Union Pacific still in stock, 27 Western Pacific. Only 15 Norfolk and Western, 22 New York Central, and 20 Western Maryland. So there you go. The eastern roads are more popular than the western roads, which is interesting. Assuming that they all started at 30 units in stock. Okay, so moving on, then we've got the Microtrains, the main Microtrains May new releases, which arrived in the middle of June. Then we've got the Broadway items. You can see they're getting very low. Shakespeare in Ohio, we've only got one left. Only one left of the SP Daylight. We'll just go and look at page 2. Okay, now that's an E8. So out of the blue, Broadway have shipped some E8s and E9s. So they didn't seem to be in their catalogue or on the list, but they've arrived. Actually, what's probably happened is that Model Train Stuff have found some Broadway stock at the back of the warehouse and have added it in as new items, which would explain the low quantities of E units. Anyway, I managed to get a Union Pacific E9, so I was pretty pleased with that. Okay, that's it for this month, guys. Look forward to talking to you again next month. Please hit the subscribe button and hit the bell if you want to be automatically advised when the podcasts are available. Please tell your friends and ask them to subscribe, because the more people who view and subscribe, the more worthwhile it is to make the effort to produce the podcast. Okay. Cheerio.
In 1842 I left the old world for the new, bad cess to the luck that brought me through to work upon the railroad. To work upon the railroad. In 1843 'twas then I met sweet Biddy McGee. An elegant wife she's been to me while working on the railroad. In 1845, I thought myself more dead than alive. I thought myself more dead than alive while working on the railroad. In 1847, sweet Biddy McGee, she went to heaven. If she left one kid, she left 11 to work upon the railroad.